I want to welcome everybody to this demonstration. Why did the jury in the Tyre Nichols case find the cops not guilty? Also, Charlotte's crime is on the rise. Before we get started with this demonstration, let me read my copyright disclaimer. Disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and education. What that means is that everything that you hear in this demonstration is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Let me welcome my Facebook family and friends. Salute to the replay gang. Salute to the moderators. Salute to the chat. Now, many of us wonder what would have caused the jury in this case, what would cause them to find these three defendants not guilty? You know, you got the video. Let me see who we got down here in the chat. Let's see who's rocking with me. Salute Teresa, Tammy, Pretty Problem Niche, salute. April, Marie, salute. And if there's any of you all that likes some down south good old music, and you're looking for a platform, you're looking for a content creator to pull up on to hear some of that good old down south music, make sure y'all pull up on my girl, Pretty Problem Niche. All right. She's always throwing down when it comes to the music. Let's jump into this, y'all. Let's jump into this and see what's going on. Drop a 1 in the chat. Drop a 1 if you feel like the jurors got it right. Drop a 1 if you feel like they got it right. The cops didn't cause the death of Tyre Nichols. Drop a 2 if you feel like those cops should have been found guilty. Salute, Nikki. Salute, Jacqueline. Give me a minute. Let me pull this up. I see some 2s down there. Let's see what we got. Let's see what this is. Salute Alma Magazine. Salute Tan. All right. Let's rock and roll, y'all.
Now to developing news where we're following tonight. 3 former Memphis officers have been 2023 19-year-old Tyre Nichols ran away from officers during a traffic stop. When officers caught up to him, he was pulled from his vehicle, pepper sprayed, tased, and later caught by 5 officers who then beat him severely. He died 3 days later. State charges are still pending against 2 other officers. The 3 officers who were acquitted today, Darius Bean, Demetrius Haley, and Justice Smith.
Let me ask y'all this. Do y'all feel like, because this is what I feel like, and I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Do y'all feel like because of the incident that took place in Cincinnati with the dad taking the life of one of the officers in Cincinnati, not the officer that is accused of taking the life of his son, but remember that dad in Cincinnati allegedly drove his vehicle into a cop and took a cop's life. Do y'all feel like those jurors in this case, because all 12 were white, all 12 were white, do y'all feel like the reason why they found these cops not guilty is to send some kind of message? Because for these cops to not be found guilty in the Tyre Nichols case, it got to be something behind it. Because, and this is just my opinion, in my opinion, even if they did not lay hands on Tyre Nichols, my opinion is if they were around, if they stood around and did nothing to help or aid Tyre Nichols, they're just as guilty as any of them that laid hands on Tyre Nichols. I say everybody out there that was in a uniform, everybody out there that's on the force should be held accountable. I see you, Miss Wish. Miss Wish says absolutely. Salute Cotan. Salute Sages. Salute Florida Queen. Tammy, I see y'all. Amma says, at the end of the day, they rep blue. And this is, in my opinion, this is all this is about. You know, white cop, black cop, Asian cop, Mexican cop, they all are in that gang. And that gang is the police. Yes, they are a gang. They are a gang. And their gang, and we all know, and even if you don't want to admit it, their gang is called the KKK. All that police fraternity and all of that, this and that, the names that they use to hide the real name, we've been decoded that. Cops belong to a gang called the KKK, Ku Klux Klan. And if you don't know anything about the KKK, please do your history on it, because I feel like if you don't know anything about the KKK all these years, ain't nothing that I could tell you. You'll have to do that investigation on your own. But Shank, I thought the KKK was only white. Yeah, but they ain't got no problem with using blacks to do their dirty work. Right? Miss Wish says the black and blue KKK. Amma says, yep, they are a brotherhood. There's no way you can convince me that they didn't do no wrong. But let's continue, y'all. Let's continue.
May still spend time in prison. They were convicted on some federal charges last year.
I personally think any fair-minded person who watches the video would come to the conclusion that everybody there had some responsibility for Tyre's death.
That's what I said. That's what I said. Anybody that saw that video, anyone that saw that video is going to say all of them should be held accountable. Salute, Taj. Marie says, trust the cop did their wrong. Oh, yeah. Let's see what else we got. Sages says, need to read more about what KKK entails. Let me see what else I'm going to grab for y'all. I hope everybody is having a good morning. All right, let's see what some legal experts have to say about this.
We want to get to breaking news.
Let's tap into some legal experts. See what they got to say before I give my complete commentary on it. You all know I will. Let's see.
News now out of Memphis. A jury has found 3 former police officers charged in the deadly beating of Tyre Nichols not guilty on all 7 state counts. The officers' charges included second-degree murder, aggravated assault, and aggravated kidnapping. Last year, the 3 were among a total of 5 convicted on federal charges, including witness tampering. Police camera footage captured officers kicking and punching Nichols after he fled a January 2023 traffic stop. He died 3 days after the beating. CBS News correspondent Omar Villafranca has been following this case every step of the way. And Omar, remember that video when it came out, just so tremendously disturbing and upsetting. Take us through this decision.
Well, of course, the judge came forward and the court said that the verdict had been reached. So everybody came on in and they filed in. The judge told everyone not to, no outbursts in the court, which is pretty typical in emotional cases like this. And as you mentioned, Tadarius Bean, Demetrius Haley, Justin Smith, all found not guilty. They each faced 7 charges, the big one being second-degree murder. That was punishable by up to 15 to 25 years in prison. Official oppression, aggravated assault, aggravated kidnapping, all those charges that you mentioned, all not guilty.
You can look at them. What they say, the eyes don't lie. Just look at them. Miss Wish says, one less black man, that is it, that is all. Look at them. I can look at these 3. I can look at them through their eyes and tell you all that they are guilty. They know what they done was wrong, and they don't feel no remorse for the life of Tyre Nichols.
A little background here on this jury, though. This happened in Memphis, Shelby County, near the Arkansas border. That's where Memphis is. Well, during the course of this trial, they were saying we needed to find an impartial jury. So they had to go 300 plus miles to Chattanooga area, Hamilton County, to find that jury. So the jury is not from Memphis. They are from Hamilton County, 300 plus miles away. We found out it is an all-white jury. There were no African Americans.
Why not? Why not? Can somebody please tell me, why was there an all-white jury? Why there wasn't one African American on the jury? Can somebody please tell me? I'll wait before I go any further. I'll wait before I go any further. Why was this an all-white jury? Anyone would like to weigh in? Anyone would like to give their opinion? Karen says, cause they full of it. And I gotta stand with you on that, Karen. I agree with you all the way. Another slap in the American people's face. Another slap in the whole world face. See, the whole world watches us. The whole world imitates us. So the world watches us. Then it's a slap in their face, as well as Americans' face. Because no longer can we just say it's a slap in black folks' face. It's a slap in the whole world's face. Salute to my brother coming out of Baltimore, Byron Murphy. I see you, Byron Murphy. Salute to all my Facebook family and friends. Appreciate y'all for pulling up. Miss Wish says it didn't matter that they moved the jurisdiction because everyone had heard about it. And I heard that county was even more against African Americans, allegedly. Come on. Come on. Byron says, I agree with you. Please support the channel by hitting the like button, subscribe, also share this to your social media platforms, and also join the channel by purchasing a membership. Nikki Lynn dropped the blue Nikki Lynn dropped the blue membership link in the chat. I don't see how his family stood for that, because they wanted a not guilty verdict. Yes. And that town is older. The jury was of age. That was probably that initiation. Yep. Yep. You're absolutely right, Alma. Let's move on, though.
On that jury, the jury in Memphis is a predominantly African-American town. So that's something that now people are talking about. A little bit more of some perspective here. There was a federal trial before this, and those officers either pled guilty or were found guilty of charges, but they were lesser charges, everything from excessive force with injury and witness tampering. They have not been sentenced for the federal crimes that they were convicted of, so we're going to wait to see. But the families are looking for justice, and now they're not going to get it from the state side. They feel they're going to have to get it from the federal. But we have to see with those lesser charges what kind of sentence comes from that.
Any reaction that you're tracking so far?
It's very early. Some of the family in there, they were quiet. They weren't allowed, obviously, no outbursts of any sort. But we're waiting to see if they come out and speak. Interesting note that we do have some reporting from Elise Preston also told us that the prosecution brought 5 witnesses forward. The defense brought 17 witnesses. And keep in mind, the burden of proof is on the prosecution to prove their case. That's what they used, 5 witnesses. The defense used 17 witnesses, and maybe that weighed in on the jury. They pulled the jury. It was unanimous on their decision-making, but unless a jury want to talk to find out what exactly convinced them, we may never know.
This is a shot inside the courthouse right now that we are watching. There were 2 other officers who did not stand in this trial. Where do they fall in the case?
Mm-hmm. Well, some of them were involved in the federal trial, and some of them also testified in cases too, talking about their action. Now, the defense basically, part of their argument was that everything that they were doing was part of their training. They're saying the whole time that Tyre Nichols, when you saw the video of the beating, they said they kept on asking him to comply. They kept on asking him to comply.
When does common sense weigh in? Right? Talk to me about common sense. When does common sense weigh in? All right, here they go. Well, we just did everything that we was trained to do. Somebody help me out with this, because I'm going to wait, because I don't want to get angry. I don't want to get mad. I don't want to get the fussing and cussing. So I'm going to save that for the end of this demonstration. So please, somebody help me understand. When does common sense weigh in against what you were trained? And this is just a win. This is a good win, or I would say a loophole for the defense. Hey, my clients done nothing other than what they were trained to do. Please, somebody help me better understand common sense. Common sense tells you this man right here is being beaten. This is where common sense kick in. This man is being beaten, allegedly because he won't comply. He won't put his arm back so they could put handcuffs on him. Salute, Miss Parker. Right? Good morning, Tina. I am new to this channel, and I am highly upset about this case. It wasn't training. It was a beatdown, and they know it. Exactly. Can I get everybody to give Tina a warm welcome? Tina is new over here, so can I get everybody to give Tina a warm welcome? Miss Jen says, when they started holding his arms, common sense says he couldn't comply. That's it. There it is right there. Y'all got his arm, right? Y'all got his arm. How do y'all want, what do y'all want him to do? And you got his arm. You can also show your support by purchasing a super sticker and a super chat, or if you would like to send a cash donation, my cash app is $ERICMCINT. Thank you for that, Nikki. April says, okay, April giving her a warm welcome. I mean, come on, man. Come on, y'all. Come on. Let me backtrack this, y'all. Let's backtrack this.
Their argument was that everything that they were doing was part of their training. They're saying the whole time that Tyre Nichols, when you saw the video of the beating, they said they kept on asking him to comply. They kept on asking him to comply, give him his hands so they could put him in cuffs. And the defense kept on saying once the cuffs were on, the beating stopped. Now, there was arguments of prosecution saying this was excessive force. This is what caused it. And that nobody was stopping anybody else from hitting him.
You can't make this up. April says, to answer your question about common sense, half of the people in the United States don't even have that. And that's so true, because you have to ask yourself, like I asked, where's common sense? But half of the people in America just don't have it. Or they don't use the common sense that they were born with. However you may dress it up, however you may say it, but people just don't use their common sense. At the first stop, I feel like they were playing Simon Says, give me your arms, give me your hands, give me. That's a good point, Tina. That's a good point.
And the prosecution was relying on that, hoping that the jury would see that as enough to reach that bar for second-degree murder. But as we learned just a few minutes ago, it was not. They were not guilty on all charges.
What happens next in this case? What are you tracking?
Well, there's going to be civil first of all. And granted, there's no jail time for a civil case. This could challenge, obviously, the way Memphis PD operates. And that's no solace. That's not going to bring back Nichols for their family. But we want to see what kind of punishment is going to be handed down on the federal case, which already happened. But again, those officers were convicted on lesser charges. There was no murder charge. Like I said, the charges were excessive force with injury and witness tampering on the federal level, not the second-degree murder that would have gotten 15 to 25 on the state level.
And I'm a switch lanes and I'm gonna come back. Salute Top Flight. Saget says, more to story. Supposedly, guy messed with one of cop's girlfriend. He was set up, very disturbing. Exactly. Before they said, give me anything, the cop had kicked him in the face. He might not have heard nothing. Correct. That's correct. There comes a point when common sense bears more truth than the verdict. A not guilty ruling may satisfy the law, but it doesn't absolve reality or silence the evidence that reason won't ignore. I feel like it's a smack in the face for victims that are trying to get justice. You know what? I'm gonna stay right here. I'm gonna stay right here for a minute. Then we're gonna switch lanes to the crime in Charlotte, North Carolina, that's on the rise. But I'm gonna stay right here for a second, y'all, because I was gonna go to the interview with Baby Oil Man and Charlemagne the God, when Baby Oil Man was talking about the black political structure, the black nationalists that he was getting behind with his money. But I'm gonna stay right here. I ain't gonna go to Baby Oil Man. I'm gonna stay right here.
Okay. Omar Villafranca, thank you. Let's bring in CBS News legal contributor Rebecca Royfe now. What is your reaction to this verdict?
I think it's extremely significant, especially given the fact that this administration, this federal administration, has indicated that it is less interested in pursuing police reform than previous administrations and is backing off those kinds of efforts. So we're going to see fewer of the kinds of cases that settled earlier for these police officers, and more will rest on what states do and what state juries do. And so I think a lot of people are paying attention to this, and it is a significant case because it is not sending the messages that the families of the victim would have wanted here and other activists would have wanted, instead sending a very different message.
Right, he was pulled over, and then later the Memphis police chief found that there was no real reason to pull him over. He had fled the traffic stop, run toward his mother's house, was screaming for her while this was happening. I want to see if you can pick up on what Omar was talking about in terms of the difference between the state and federal charges and the severity, the state charges being second-degree murder, aggravated assault, aggravated kidnapping, amongst other state charges. Omar saying that the second-degree murder could have called for 15 to 20 years in prison versus the federal charges that they were found guilty of, which was witness tampering and excessive force.
Right, exactly. I mean, there were federal charges of civil rights violations resulting in death or injury, but those are not the charges that they pled guilty to. So these other charges are going to result in, much less significant sentences, especially given the fact that they were pleas. And so, again, I mean, of course it's significant. Any amount of jail time is significant, and that does send a message, but I think the message is muted in large part by this verdict, which, is loud and clear given the fact that they didn't find even any of these lesser charges that the police officers were guilty. And so as a result, yes, there will be some consequences and some accountability, and that's important, as Omar was saying. It's really important that we look at this not just from a criminal justice perspective, but from the perspective of police reform. And that may indeed happen within Memphis and within other cities. But, to the extent that you're looking for some, big deterrent and big, moment of accountability and a moment in which we really think about what our relationship to police are and police brutality, this is not that moment.
Let's go ahead and listen to some of the live remarks that we're capturing outside the courthouse.
Those who are sworn to uphold it.
What do you think what just didn't connect? What do you think it was? Was it the training? Was it the character witnesses? What do you think it was?
It's so hard to figure that out. It could be any number of a million things. And I am disinclined to try to say, oh, we should have done this differently or we should have done that differently, because I think the trial team did an excellent job. Obviously you had a situation where, arguably two of the more culpable defendants were not present. Then that allowed the remaining defendants to point the finger at others. I personally think that when you take a look at all of the evidence, that shouldn't matter. Perhaps the jury took a different view. It's just impossible to say.
I know it's very early, but is this a case that you all are looking to retry?
I think it is too early for us to say that. I don't know what the grounds would be for that. We do have to accept the finality of a jury verdict in most cases.
Any thoughts about the jury being from Chattanooga and an all-white jury?
Obviously, people have mentioned that as an issue. I'm not going to speculate about that. I think it's a testimony to the fairness of our criminal justice system that we bent over backwards to get a jury from another jurisdiction to assure that the defendants were given a fair trial.
Why not get your jury from Memphis, Tennessee? Can somebody explain that to me? Why go to Tennessee, not Tennessee, Arkansas, I believe? Why grab the jury from out of Memphis, Tennessee? Anybody? Why not have an all black jury? What's wrong with black people? Black people seem to, no matter what, black people seem to just can't win. Even though the world loves us when we're making them laugh, even though the world loves us when we playing ball, basketball, football, even though the world loves our music, Why is it only when it's entertainment and sports do we count? Outside of entertainment and sports, we don't count. I'm just throwing it out there. T Sexy says facts. JoJo says because they knew about the case, I guess. Because they know if they get us from Memphis, they was going to be guilty, state and fair. That's facts. Because every black person knew that they done Tyre Nichols wrong. We all knew that they done him wrong. There's no way in the world that all black jury was going to find them cops not guilty. Carla says so true. Can I get everybody to give Carla a warm welcome? I believe this is our first time over here. Appreciate you for pulling up with us, Carla. Facts. Sad. Anybody that saw that video know better. Come on now. That's facts. I know they better leave Smokey Robinson alone. They going after Smokey Robinson now. I mean, come on. But and I'm not going to spend too much on Smokey, but this woman claims, correct me if I'm wrong, this woman claims that she was in a relationship with Smokey Robinson, right? But why wait 20, 30 years later to talk about, bring up these accusations about a man that you was in a relationship with over 20, 30, 40 something years ago? The only thing that I could say is they are going to mess up again, and God don't like ugly. Exactly.
Beyond that, I don't think I should comment.
The defense worked on pointing at Emmett Martin as the most violent of everyone there. It seems that the man have landed with the jury. You're securing a guilty plea for Emmett Martin. Can you talk a little more about his involvement?
Well, obviously, I think the proof speaks for itself, and Mr. Martin was, extremely involved and culpable, and played a key role in the unjustified death of Tyre Nichols. What's going to happen over at the federal court and what will happen with his case remains to be seen.
What kind of conversation did you have with Tyre Nichols' family when they left today?
We spoke to them briefly. Obviously, they were devastated. I think you could imagine that they would be devastated. I think they were outraged, and I think we can understand why they'd be outraged by this result, given the evidence. They quite understandably decided that they needed to go home and process all this, and we're going to give them that respect and respect their privacy.
What sort of message does this give to specifically the Memphis Police Department, who just got done with this pattern and practice investigation and really doesn't have to grapple with the consequences of that either?
Right. So it's important to note that, there have been guilty verdicts over on the federal side. I'm not going to speculate about what will happen over on the federal side, but it's not like there have been no consequences whatsoever from the tragic killing of Tyre Nichols. I personally think that if we're going to make any sense of this tragedy, if we're going to have any silver lining from this dark cloud of both the event itself and, in my view, today's verdict, it has to be that we need to reaffirm our commitment to police reform and to doing what we need to do to make sure that tragedies like this don't happen again. And I remain committed to that. I'm sure the city of Memphis remains committed to that, and we're not giving up on that.
Are you surprised that they didn't? Because they could have gone for lesser charges than second-degree murder. 9 different charges they could have gotten, and they didn't even have to go to those. Did that surprise you?
Was I surprised that there wasn't a single guilty verdict on any of the counts or any of the lesser included offenses, given the overwhelming evidence that I think that we presented? Yes, I was surprised. Do I have an explanation for it? No.
How much did the state rely on the videos from that night, the Skycop video, the body cam videos? How much did you all rely on that as far as this trial goes?
Well, I mean, you saw the evidence. You saw the trial as well as I. I think it speaks for itself. Certainly, the videos were a big part of the state's case, as they understandably would be. But I don't think the trial team relied entirely on the videos. I think they brought to bear witness testimony, very effective cross-examination of the defense witnesses, and some compelling opening and closing arguments. And I think when you add it all together, I think the state did a hell of a job. I'm not Monday morning quarterbacking about any of the decisions the trial team made. I think they did an excellent job. They're a credit to our office.
Let's go back, y'all. Let's go back. Let's go back in time. Before the Rodney King video, and I believe that Rodney King video was 92. Was it 1992 when the Rodney King video came out? Now, let's just say the early 90s. Now, before the Rodney King video, 80s, 70s, 60s, when we were getting lynched, when we were getting unalived by the cops, it was always, there's no proof. If it was a video, if we had a video that could show the cops police brutality, but there's no video, right? Now it comes to the Rodney King case. Remember when the Rodney King verdict weighed in? Everybody just knew. Everybody just knew they were going to find those cops guilty. Why? Because we all waited for the day that the cops were recorded. Now, this video shows these cops brutally beating Rodney King. Their answer to it, same as Tyre Nichols, he would not comply with police orders. We ordered him, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, we ordered him to stay down. Well, it's hard for anyone to stay down. It's hard for anyone to remain still. It's hard for anybody to remain on the ground with their hands out if you're beating him. How did y'all expect for him to lay there? Nobody is going to lay there and take a beating. It's not happening. Since the Rodney King video, all the way up until now, 92% of the cops that were involved in those videos of police brutality against Black people, 92% of those officers were found not guilty. 92% of those cases with video footage of police brutality against Black people, 92% of the times the cops walk free. Let's switch lanes to Charlotte, North Carolina. Let's switch lanes to Charlotte, North Carolina, and we'll come back to Tyre Nichols. Charlotte, North Carolina crime is on the rise. What is going on in Charlotte, North Carolina? The people want to know.
You have the men and women that we have in our agency have just been phenomenal throughout this whole thing, and to see them step up and take care of each other is just it's refreshing to me, and that's why I get up every day and do this.
And speaking of the department, how are they handling things right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult. I'm not going to sit and say, oh, everything's fine, but I've seen a lot of our officers that have stepped up to the plate and said, we're going to help you cover this division. We're going to put in the extra time. We're going to go out and still protect and serve our community. I've had higher ranks going in to serve as lower ranks to cover for different shifts. And that's the kind of thing that it defines who we are.
Now, this Chief Johnny has been under fire. Give me a second, y'all. Give me a second. Salute to the chat. I see y'all. Salute, Ime. I see you, Ime. Salute. Salute, Justice. Salute, Justice. Let me see. Has been on the rise. What's been going on in Charlotte? All right.
You know, when people get on boats, everything sort of changes.
Underway in Charlotte, one person is dead, several others hurt. Gunmen still wanted tonight. This happened on Archdale Drive, not far from I-77 and Nations Ford Road. Now, just last December, that exact area saw 2 murders just days apart. Now, another murder months later. WBTV's Dalford Jones has more.
Charlotte-Mecklenburg police spent a large portion of Monday afternoon and early evening trying to piece together who and why someone would open fire and injure, even kill someone outside of this convenience store. Around 3:45 Monday afternoon, CMPD got the call shots had been fired on the 300 block of Arch.
Gunshot wounds.
One person dead on scene, at least 2 others hospitalized with
incident are unclear at this time, but detectives are on scene conducting their investigation.
Laquan Wilson was on his way home from work when he found out of the tragedy that happened along his route.
Somebody had passed away today, lost their life, so it definitely is kind of different knowing that this is somewhere I'm always walking for. Well, anytime an incident like this happens, it's concerning for us regardless of the location. But this does. Sir.
There's more. Community activists want to know what's going on in Charlotte. This is what I was looking for.
In Charlotte. In August of last year, we reported on a major shift in policy. Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department officially allowed all officers to wear ADA-accommodated outer carrier ballistic vests. It came after officers were seen wearing those kinds of vests while working as part of security at the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee. Former Charlotte City Council member Tark Bokhari was pushing hard for the vest, especially after the April of last year ambush that left 4 officers dead in East Charlotte.
This petition, which I think has the potential to go viral as in the size that it's starting to grow, asks humbly for the chief to reconsider one more time to take this money and purchase those vests. But if that isn't the case, There will be a second petition that I will launch that will demand his resignation, and we'll figure it out with the next chief.
Well, today, Mayor Lyles apologized for not publicly defending CMPD Chief Johnny Jennings last year following that conflict. And she referenced text messages where Bukhari allegedly threatened Jennings if he didn't support the vest for officers.
I believe Chief Jennings to be the best police chief in this country. The chief was publicly attacked by a former council member who stated his intent was to damage his reputation and end his career. I owe the chief an apology for not publicly supporting him then.
Now the debate
So now you have, let me let this
over the vest led to a closed door session and then an email. Council member Victoria Watlington accused city leaders of, quote, unethical, immoral, and frankly, illegal activities occurring within city government. Since that was a closed session, leaders say they've been instructed by the city attorney not to discuss it. But they did have some things to say today.
That we assure our residents that there is no corruption, there is no illegal activity going on.
Well, I'm the one Republican. This is bipartisan. We have come here today from all across the spectrum to state the same thing. The government is working well.
We will work in harmony together. We'll get through this. It won't be easy, but I'm sure it can be done.
So while politicians are fighting, Democrat, Republican, councilmen making threats to the police chief because they want the officers with more vests. See, the problem when it comes to the police departments, the problem is not in their training. The problem is not in the equipment that they have and don't have. That's not the problem. The problem is the actual individuals that are hired to be cops. No matter who you no matter who you are, whatever position you take, you'll be that person that you are in that position that you have. So if you are a racist, and you put on a cop's uniform, well, guess what? You're just a racist cop. And when it comes to the cops, that's the problem. Nothing more, nothing less. I've said it and I'll say it again. All cops are not bad cops. All cops are not racist cops. But if the cops that aren't racist, if the cops that aren't bad, if they don't speak out against those that are racist and bad, then that just makes them just as guilty as the racist and bad cops. There's more. I'm going to stay in Charlotte for a minute, y'all. There's more to Charlotte's crime that I want to speak on because Charlotte is off the hook. Give me a minute. And the people of Charlotte, they tired. The people of Charlotte is tired just like everyone else is tired.
CMPD is investigating multiple shootings tonight, all unrelated and all happening within the last 24 hours. Last night at Lane and another at Kings Branch Court. And then early this morning, officers found a person dead from a gunshot wound on Revolution Park Drive. One person was also found dead Friday night along South Boulevard near Scaly Bark Road. WCNC Charlotte's Anna King has more on these investigations.
Officials tonight say they are asking for the community's help in regard to these incidents. And community members I spoke to say enough is enough.
It is frightening.
And we are very concerned and worried.
People across Charlotte say they're shaken up tonight after multiple shooting incidents, all within 24 hours.
My kid's mother's, at least about 7 bullets came and hit their house. They hit the top of my son headboard and all that, man. It knocked out some the sliding door windows. It's just crazy, man.
And I will say this, I have to call a spade a spade. These incidents, you know, these are black people that's behind these incidents. Something has to be done in the black community. I can't sugarcoat it, because just like we expect for the racist white cops to be called out and held accountable, as black people, we got to step in and we got to hold these black people that are shooting up the neighborhood and making it unsafe for us to be in. We got to call them out. We got to stand up to them. We can't just always focus on the cops and what the cops ain't doing right. We can't always focus in on the president. We can't always focus in on politics. We can't focus on outside people to fix our communities. This is when I hold black folks accountable. I don't want to hear nothing about the system. I know about the system. We all know about the system. I want solutions. As black people, talk to me about solutions that we can use to solve our issues. I don't want to hear nothing about nothing else if it ain't got nothing to do with solutions. And as black people, we have to start holding black people accountable.
One along High Meadow Lane Friday night. Officials say this shooting led to one person being transported to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. Another one nearby along Kings Branch Court. Officials say this shooting also left.
And they were about to go to sleep.
And neighbors here say this shooting took them by surprise.
A lot of the residents, especially the seniors like us, we are very terrified.
Boulevard near Scaly Drive. Then Saturday morning, officials received a call about an assault with a deadly weapon along Revolution Park Drive. Officials say when they got to that scene, they found the victim's body with gunshot wounds. Tonight, community members are asking for more to be done to stop this violence.
They just need more police being more active around here, because it's the youngest. It's the youngest. That's all.
These investigations are all active and ongoing as officials work to piece this together, and anyone with information on these incidents is out.
Some people say need more police protection and need more police presence in the neighborhoods. I mean, I can't, when the police are allowable, when the police is guilty and when they should have some accountability, yeah. But bringing more police into these neighborhoods, trust me, it's not going to solve the problem. Because if we as black people are already experiencing as y'all can see, whenever I'm dropping jewels, it's always difficulties. Somebody don't want my message to get out there. But as I said, more police is if they already beating us and unaliving us already, what's going to happen if more of these officers are placed in our communities? It starts with us. It starts with us. Just like it starts at home with the parenting, everything starts with us. Everything starts at home. I'm not going to take up too much of your time. I got another demonstration coming up at 12 noon. I got one more clip. All right. Nah, that ain't it. I got one more clip, and then we're going to get out of here, and I'll see everybody back at 12 noon. All right. On to a lighter note coming out of Charlotte.
Street takeovers in Charlotte last.
Charlotte has a big takeover problem. Charlotte has a big takeover, a street takeover problem as well.
Month, 19-year-olds Jonathan Hernandez and Alexander Tyre facing charges. Charlotte-Mecklenburg police say detectives identified several social media accounts promoting the takeovers, according to takeovers on their social media pages. Police say both men tagged the account of the main organizer of the takeovers, 704 Meats. Both.
Let me say this to those that participate in these takeovers. Oh, y'all probably not gonna want to hear it from an old man, but y'all gotta realize the possibilities that can come about from these takeovers. And we just seen this. It wasn't a takeover, but we just seen the young lady down there in St. Louis the other day that lost her life from twerking on top of a moving vehicle, and she fell off of the moving vehicle and was hit by a truck. Same thing with these takeovers. Not only are y'all endangering y'all lives with these takeovers, though, because people have to drive on these streets. You know, y'all have to be careful. You know, I don't recommend a takeover, period. However, a safe place would be in a parking lot, a school parking lot. I'm not advocating, but y'all could go to a school parking lot and do these takeovers. Y'all don't have to do these takeovers on public streets, is what I'm trying to say. Let me jump to the chat, then we're going to get out of here. Exactly. Even your own kids, it's got to stop. Karen says facts. Kicking it, yes, parents got to start holding their kids accountable. I understand it's our kid, but they out doing wrong. We can't stand next to them, yelling, free them, knowing what they did or be doing. That's true. April says we need to stand up as a unit in the United States and try to get the crooked cops out. That's facts. I'm for it. And as y'all can see, it ain't only white cops that's crooked. It's some crooked black cops as well. It's some crooked Asian cops. It's some crooked Hispanic cops. And that's why I say in the year 2025 and on, it is a people's problem. It's a people's thing. The only way that we're going to fix these problems in this country, we are going to all have to come together. Those that don't want to come together, fine. This is not for you, but for us, from every religion, every nationality, for us, different political views, for us that want to come together and make things better for all of us. This is what we have to do. We got to come together. We got to pull together. Got to pull our resources. You know, we got to get together and fix these problems. Shank, the system is broken. There are bad cops, and they don't care how people is hurting each other. That's true, Marie. That's true. They still have to deal with the feds. I think they just wanted the feds to deal with it because the feds is going to get all of them. I hope that you are absolutely right, Jenny. I hope that you are right. I hope that's the problem. Well, not the problem. I hope that's what the issue is. I hope that. I appreciate everybody for pulling up. Pull back up at 12 noon. 25 more minutes, pull back up. I will leave the chat running and you all can hang around. Salute everybody. And make sure y'all subscribe to my backup channel, Smoothie Talk with Shank. Salute everybody. I'll leave the chat running. For all of y'all out there that got a main chick and a side chick, back in the days, you used to have to worry about the side chick popping all up at your job, stalking you when you go home, worrying about the side chick calling the house, worrying about the side chick posting pictures of y'all on social media. Well, guess what, fellas? You ain't got to worry about the side chick. I'm going to put some almond milk in it. Fellas, you ain't got to worry about the side chick acting up. You got to worry about these chia seeds. You got to worry about your main chick taking your side chick from you. All right, y'all. Let's let it grind. Delicious. That's probably the best smoothie that I've made thus far.